Good afternoon. I'm Romona Riscoe Benson, PECO's Director of Corporate and Community Relations. I'm joined today by leaders who have workforce development as a key component of the work they do to impact results in our communities. Workforce development is an important driver of success in getting our region's economy moving, so significantly impacted by the pandemic. I hope you had an opportunity to listen to the earlier panels on access and equity hosted by Philly Works, and then the leadership Wireside chat with my CEO, PECO's Mike Innocenzo, and our Exelon Utilities CEO, Calvin Butler. Their understanding of the importance of this work and commitment to our community served was a clear and hopeful message in this current environment. At its core, recovery means those who seek to become employed or reemployed and have every opportunity to do so. Our Pathways to Powering Success panel will talk about their programs, innovation, and creative thinking, and how they are embracing change and driving success within their organizations. You will also hear of other ways to consider equity in the work that they do. Our panelists today are Sabrina Brooks, PECO's newly appointed Senior Manager of Workforce Development, who moved over from her role leading the company's marketing team efforts in energy efficiency, demand reduction, and natural gas. She has been with the company for over 20 years, and among her community service roles, chairs the board of the African American Museum in Philadelphia. The Honorable Renee Hughes, my dear friend, is the president and CEO of the Opportunity Industrialization Center, we call OIC, a long-standing workforce development organization that serves over 1,500 adults annually. Renee was CEO of the Hughes Group prior to this, and before that, in the role that she and I probably worked more closely in before this role, was the American Red Cross. She also, of course, served on the bench of the Philadelphia County Courts. Among her various service roles, Renee sits on the board of the Independence Health Group. My new friend is Sue Hoffman. Sue is the Senior Associate of Innovation with Philadelphia Works, the City Workforce Development Board. She is also project manager for the Women in Non-Traditional Careers Initiative, in part funded by the U.S. Department of Labor Women's Bureau. Sue has over 30 years experience in nonprofit, government, and philanthropy. My other wonderful friend, Carniesha Kwashie, serves as director of the Job Opportunity Investment Network. We call that JOIN, at the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey. She also serves as co-chair of the PHL COVID-19 Fund, which is a significant lift and an important role. And so we thank you for that, Carniesha. She has extensive experience in racial, social, and economic justice-driven projects, having served in such roles in government, nonprofit, and private sectors. And then finally, another close friend, Kathryn Epps Roberson, Executive Director of the Hire Philly Coalition, the only regional employer-led workforce intermediary. Hire Philly provides a unified perspective of area employers to create economic opportunities for all Philadelphians. She is also founder and president of AEC Partners, a Philadelphia-based project management firm. Kathryn also had an early career in the fashion industry. And so I do want to welcome our wonderful, extraordinary panel. And Sabrina, I do see you. I'd like to turn this over to you, Sabrina, if you're comfortable starting. And if not, I will ask Renee to begin first. Okay, Renee, I'm going to ask you to start the conversation.
I am happy to start the conversation.
So welcome. And even though I know you have been in this role for about 6 months, if not a little bit longer, it's still sort of new. And we're very excited that you are leading this very important historic organization that has made quite a difference in the Philadelphia area. Can you, Renee, highlight for us OIC, the organization, the mission, the programs that they offer, the training emphasis that is part of it? And then if you don't mind, I want to selfishly ask you to talk about the solar and smart energy program as a part of that.
So thank you for that question. This is really an exciting time to be at OIC. OIC was founded in 1964 by the Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan, who is just a mountain of a historic figure. And he founded OIC for times just as these are today. Poverty was double digits, unemployment was double digits. The city was facing a real challenge, and OIC was founded on the principle of eradicating poverty through education and job training. We believe that you can give people a hand up, not a handout. And so for 56 years, we've been on the same mission, eradicating poverty. We do that through an accelerated high school. It's a public high school. It helps children who weren't thriving in traditional high school get their high school diploma. We have a high school equivalency program, and we have a power technology center that allows people to get digitally literate, to do advanced digital literacy, to advance their businesses. And the programs are the most exciting. So we have a program in financial services that is leading the industry, preparing people for work in financial services. We believe in technology and have a drone program that teaches, and people always say drones, but drones are everywhere. They're in the news industry, the television industry, they're in real estate, insurance, so many places. And then of course, Ramona's favorite project is smart energy. And the Smart Energy Program is a program that we partner with PECO on to prepare people for the careers in the future. It's so exciting. Solar technology is on its way, and PECO is, I think, brilliant at preparing people for jobs of the future. And that's what we partner with PECO on. And I do want to do a special shout out for an area of our community that's been challenged. We have a 30-year-old.
Hi, this is Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina. This is Dan from BPHL. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm sorry you're having an issue.
Sabrina, you're not muted.
I'm going to go.
So, hi, Sabrina.
Hi. Can you all see me? I apologize.
So, yeah, go ahead, Renee.
So I want to give a special shout out to our Hospitality and Tourism Institute, which trains people for all sorts of careers. And I want to give a special shout out for that because over the last 30 years, our city has invested so much in becoming a destination city. And our Hospitality and Tourism Institute, which produces not only nationally recognized and awarded chefs, but also prepares people for careers in the hospitality industry. And our city has taken a hit because of COVID, but I believe we will come back even stronger. Bottom line, the goal of OIC is to skate to where the puck is going. And that's why smart energy is so important as we prepare for the jobs of the future. And Romona, you know me, I can talk. So, you know, I love this work because it really does equip people with the skills to have family sustaining jobs. And that's what's important.
And Renee, how do you market the programs offered by OIC? And how can someone get more information on what is being offered?
So they can first start off by going to our website, which is philaoic.org. So PHILAOIC.org. And we are, in fact, launching a brand new website next week, which will make it much easier for people to learn about our programs. They can call 215-236-7700. But we also, despite COVID, are having a COVID compliant and safe intake center, which will operate 3 days a week, where people will be able to come by the building, get information about all of their programs, education, job training, sign up for voter registration, anything they need to improve their life, they'll be able to access at the intake center 3 days a week. So we're at 1231 North Broad Street, right in the community, easy to get to. But I encourage them to check out our website, call us, come see us. We are here to help people help themselves.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And I love the tagline. We're going to come back in a little while to talk a little bit about other things that you're doing in the pandemic and how people can really avail themselves of some of those resources. Sue, I'm actually going to come to you next with Philadelphia Works, or what I call Philly Works. But we're really interested in learning more about the women in non-traditional careers, what you're doing in that space, how you're working with them, and then talk a little bit more about how you've been able to make the pivot in your work during this environment, this pandemic environment.
Sure, glad to join you. And Renee, you talked about family sustaining wages, and that's what Women in Non-Traditional Careers is all about. At Philadelphia Works, we host this collaborative regional project to engage more women in construction, manufacturing, and transit careers. And those are careers that where women can make a living wage without a college degree and college debt. So women, as we know, are only 3% of construction workers, 2% of bus drivers and mechanics, 29% of production workers in manufacturing. We know that there are a lot of benefits in terms of wages and advancement in those careers, and yet there are a lot of barriers, we know, to women entering those careers. So WINC, we call Women in Non-Traditional Careers WINC,
I like that.
is an effort to do the outreach, to do the engagement, to bring both tradeswomen and industry partners together to overcome the barriers to women entering those really important careers. And so we're building that pipeline. We are having tradeswomen lead this work along with industry partners. And we've seen that especially apprenticeships in the building trades unions are welcoming the ability to have partners to increase the pipeline, to engage more women in these careers. And our website is really the best place to do that engagement. That would be wincproject.org, WINC project.org. And there we have photographs, videos of women doing non-traditional work. We have FAQs, we have a quiz. There are just lots of resources to look at and download so that women can explore those careers, and that the adults and other people who care about women having family sustaining careers can find out more. And you asked about us pivoting during this pandemic. One of the things that we lost was in-person and hands-on outreach, which, as you imagine, could be really important for this work. Instead, we've launched a podcast, and that podcast is called Today's Rosie, referring to the World War II Rosie the Riveter. But our Rosie is an African-American young woman winking. So she's our representative. And we've already launched with 2 podcasts. We've got 2 more coming up next week where we're interviewing electricians and welders and metal fabricators and so moms who are tradeswomen. So all of those stories can be available.
Awesome. And you know something, it's interesting when you tie in what women did during World War II and the idea of attracting women now to those non-traditional roles. And so that's pretty exciting. So thank you for that. And how's the podcast activity going? Are you getting a lot of interest in it?
Yes, we've gotten a lot of inquiries, and people can subscribe to the podcast, Today's Rosie, wherever you get your podcasts, or come to our website. Awesome.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue. And we'll be back to talk a little bit more with you as well.
Sure.
Carniesha, you've got an awesome job that you do at United Way, and I don't know how many people understand the importance of a joint entity or initiative that is going to help with the recovery within the region. Can you tell us a little bit about Join and also the collaboration that created the Cohort Workforce Benchmark Network?
Absolutely.
And then we'll talk a little bit more about how we get more information on what's going on.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much, Romona, for opening us up so well. So I'm Carniesha Kwashie. I'm the director of the Job Opportunity Investment Network. We were founded in 2008. So we've been around for about 12 years now. And we were founded by United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, as well as the National Fund for Workforce Solutions. So I have 2 parent companies, essentially. And with that being said, we're an intermediary. We sit at the intersection of businesses, nonprofits, and governments. And really our goal is to increase the economic growth within our region. So we serve 8 counties within our United Way footprint. And in addition to increasing the economic growth in our region, we're really seeking to improve the matchmaking that takes place between career seekers and employers. So the Job Opportunity Investment Network is comprised of funders such as PECO and their great support, Dow Chemical, Philadelphia Works, LISC, are just some of the main contributors to the collaborative. And we do have some private foundation dollars, such as the Annie E. Casey Foundation. So we blend those funds and then we redistribute them in partnership with our United Way to support job training programs or workforce training programs, primarily in advanced manufacturing, healthcare, retail. Our new partnership is with Judge Hughes and teams in financial services. And then we do make some investments in construction trades as well. And so we're really looking at what sectors can really offer those quality and living wage jobs, or at least the access to it, because we really do have a specific focus on serving young adults. With relation to the Workforce Benchmark Network, in which PECO has been a strong and really was the lead partner in helping Join establish it, it serves 17 of our United Way agencies throughout our regional footprint. We have 2 national partners, Corporation for a Skilled Workforce and Race Forward. And what we're doing is working on continuous improvement processes with those 17 agencies from across the region to improve their workforce programs. We use a 6-step racial equity toolkit, which we've now been using for 2 years, as well as what we call a workforce benchmark continuous improvement process tool. So we do this in the form, and especially in the wake of COVID, we're doing it in a learning community setting where all 17 agencies get together. They used to get together quarterly in person. Now we have done it virtually, and they've actually demanded more time to connect and really talk amongst each other and learn, how are you adapting to COVID? What does your social distancing policies or spaces look like now that you still have to provide in-person services? And then in addition to them learning from each other, they also receive one-on-one coaching, and they are also using a national survey in which they can benchmark their program's progress against other workforce agencies across the region that have similar programs. So this great work is happening with about 65 plus workforce development stakeholders from across our region. And I could not be more proud of how they've shown up, not just in the moments of the pandemic and the civil unrest, but how they show up for the communities that we all love to serve.
So Carniesha, that's really important, the way you're talking about the collaborative nature of what you do. And I'm wondering, given the purpose of this, how does STEM education as part of that pipeline fit, if it does, into what it is that that you are doing with the Join program?
It certainly takes place from an older youth. So at United Way, we focus on individuals from our young adult portfolio who are ages 15 to 25. And then we serve 18 plus in the adult. So a lot of times there's an overlap between a young adult population and an adult population. We're talking about the same folks a lot of times, but when it relates to the young adults, we're really looking at those, for instance, in advanced manufacturing, really looking at what is the technical training, partnering with employers to make sure that it actually meets the standards of the employers and the occupations that they have available. So with relation to STEM, it's really about, and this is the important role of an intermediary, which I'm sure Kathy will speak to later, is as an intermediary, we sit at the intersection of all various stakeholders that have a very important role. And our role is to really increase narrative, provide safe space, provide the trust for all parties to really address what are both the barriers as well as the opportunities, and what is it that we realistically need to do in order to prepare our workforce. So a lot of times with folks like Philadelphia OIC, we're talking and having conversations about their curricula in partnership with employers and other educational providers, as well as the job seekers or career seekers themselves. I believe constituent or participant input is a very important success factor in any of the work that we do. They are our clients, and so we really have to make sure we're building programs that include STEM and other things that are important to their success into our decision-making and our improvement processes with relation to workforce programs.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to circle back, ladies, as soon as we're done with the panelists with their opening comments, because I also want to talk about barriers a little bit more and critical skill sets. But right now, since you, Carniesha, mentioned Kathryn, I want to ask her to tell us about Hire Philly. Hire Philly is one of the newer kids on the block, but it has been fierce in coming into the market. Kathryn has done an excellent job as the opening executive director for the organization. And Kathryn, I'm real interested for you to share with us why it's unique and innovative, and how are you connecting qualified workers with gainful employment? I think you're on mute, Kathryn.
Thank you.
All right.
As you mentioned, Hire Philly is a newer organization that the coalition was formed in 2018, and it was formed kind of in response to the need to create a collective voice for the employers that we have in the region. We hear time and time again when it comes to workforce development, one of the key focuses that's missing is the ongoing perspective of the employer, and making sure that employers who really are the gatekeepers to the opportunities in this region and around the country are having a space where they can actively engage and inform workforce development efforts and be very clear about what their needs are today and in the future. So Hire Philly really acts as the home for that unified perspective, and that's really what makes us unique. We are a workforce intermediary, as Carniesha mentioned. We sit between the employers and opportunity seekers, but we really work from the employer perspective and really gain a deep understanding of, again, what are the current opportunities? What are the opportunities that are in the pipeline? What are the challenges that employers are facing? And how can we take that information and align it with the talent pool that we have in the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding counties? So Hire Philly was created really to kind of fill that void and to respond to that need. And we've been doing so for the last two plus years by creating really meaningful experiences. Pre-COVID, they were in-person experiences where we were bringing together dozens of employers, dozens of community organizations like, OIC and like Philadelphia Works that have joined us on the call to really come together in a very collaborative way and not only create opportunities for those who are in need of jobs. So, having opportunities for opportunity seekers to speak directly with employers and learn the ins and outs of what it means to work at a company like PECO, but also to really provide them the additional resources, whether it's education, housing assistance, or other kind of ancillary support services that really support the entire person. We want to make sure that everyone is supported in a way where they feel like they can get a job and then be in that job for the long term, or really be put on a pathway to success, which is really what we're all here to discuss. And so we realize that requires a well-rounded approach, and it's more than just the job itself. And so at Hire Philly, it's really important to us to make sure we're bringing all of the resources to the table. And what we found ourselves doing in the recent months in the wake of COVID, just like everyone else, is somewhat reinventing ourselves, which has been interesting since we are a very young organization. But we've had to pivot, and we've had to rely a lot more heavily on technology. And I'm very proud to say that we've been successful in pivoting thus far, and we were able to take our large scale, which is our signature event, Career and Resource Fair, which was supposed to take place on March 16th in person at the Kimmel Center. We were able to pivot that and host it online, host it virtually. And we had close to 2,000 people register for that event and close to 1,300 people actually participate. And so, we're not letting COVID or the challenges that we are facing on a day-to-day basis stop us from doing the work. And we're really grateful to partners like PECO and all of the other organizations that are here. Join and Carniesha were one of our sponsors for a very meaningful conversation we were going to have around returning citizens and how we need to create pathways from prison to create job opportunities, not just pathways to prison. And so we really are focused on, again, working collaboratively to address creating job opportunities, yes, but also really putting a hyper focus on some of the more vulnerable populations and making sure that we can provide a collection of resources to support them holistically.
Excellent, Kathryn, thank you. And so if I want to find out more information about Hire Philly, how am I doing that?
So we are in some very exciting times for Hire Philly. So I would recommend that everyone visit us online at hirephilly.org, but also make sure that you're following us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Hire Philly across all platforms, as we are, again, continuing to reinvent and pivot the work that we do. And so we will be launching an online digital workforce solution that really picks up where we left off with a lot of the work that we were doing in person and streamlines it in a very succinct and easy to use fashion online. And we're very excited we don't have an exact launch date yet, but that is something that we certainly plan to launch at sometime this fall. So make sure that you are checking back with us on our website and following us on our social media channels so you can stay up to date on those updates.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kathryn. And now Sabrina. Actually, we were going to have you open the conversation, but I think having you as the final panelist before we go into discussion and questions makes a lot of sense because all of the presenters partner with PECO in some way. It was great that PECO was referenced in the presentations that were provided. And I'm excited because Sabrina is part of my team and she is leading an important effort as the company has made a greater commitment around developing an inclusive workforce through the creation of this very important workforce development team. Sabrina is an awesome person. I'm real excited to have her with us and to share with us, Sabrina, why PECO created this team, what role does it have, how do we see it collaborating with the partners on this program today and partners that we have in other aspects of the community. So I'm going to turn that over to you, and then I'll be back.
Great. Well, thanks, Romona, and thanks to the great panelists for being here today. And in fact, PECO, while the Workforce Development Department is new to our region, the work that we're doing is something that we realize that we need to be very closely connected to our community. So it's great to have partners like these panelists that you've heard from today. And the need for workforce development is for everything that we've just discussed and that you've heard. It's about building strategic partnerships and focusing on initiatives in our pillars. We have 3 specific areas that we focus on, and that's about creating education and awareness about sustainable jobs in our region and at PECO in the energy sector. But in addition to that, we realize that there are barriers that many of our community members may face in order to get to these sustainable wages. And more importantly, because of the barriers that we've identified, we realize that having the strong partnerships and coalitions are absolutely necessary in order for us to have these transformational changes. So everything that you've heard so far today is exactly aligned with why PECO is in this work. We want to see our community members transition into these sustainable jobs. And it all comes from many of the discussions that you've heard so far today. We want to create lifelong learners in our community and providing them the opportunity, whether they're at the high school level, whether they're adult learners, or whether they're on a collegiate track. There's something for everyone in our region, and we want to have our community healthy economically and focused on these areas. So it's great to be able to partner with those that you see on a panelist, but then there's a number of partners that we have that aren't represented on a panel today, but we're all focused on doing this work in our region.
That's great. Thank you, Sabrina. Mike Innocenzo, PECO CEO, talks a lot about how we have jobs at PECO. A lot of them are jobs where people do not need to have a college degree in order to qualify. But he also says, although we have jobs available and those happen in cycles based upon the need and the work, they will never be enough to move the needle given the need that we see in our region. So how is PECO looking at effective partnerships? And outside of the energy sector or the work that we do in the utility space, is PECO also supporting programs that just help provide jobs for people in the city and in the region?
Absolutely. So we have strong partnerships, and we're looking at creating additional partnerships. And what was really important is that our focus is at PECO, we want to be able to create those sustainable wages in the energy sector. And what was very unique about PECO is that you can have sustainable wages in careers, whether you have a high school diploma or a college degree. I mean, there is diversity of jobs within our community and within the PECO community that allows you to really provide those sustainable wages that we talked about. But what we do know is that we are only one of many companies in our region that are leading this work. So we've found that leading through this, creating strong collaborations with other large companies in our region is important. That's the only way that we move the needle. at the corporate level, but then also at the community organization level. So with everyone focused on this and focused around creating these levels of opportunities for our communities, that's how we move the needle. So whether someone decides that going to college is not for them, that's okay, because there are plenty of opportunities on a VOTEC perspective. But even if someone decides that they do want to go to college and further their degrees in that aspect, that's okay as well, because there's something in which we can always partner with our community in creating impact around STEM and education.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I'm thinking about the resident coming from a community where he or she doesn't have a lot of job experience. They want a job. They're clearly motivated to do whatever it takes to be successful in having a job, but there are services that they will need in order to support that. So we hear a lot about soft skill training. We hear a lot about wraparound services. Can anyone share some information on what those things mean and whether or not any of your organizations provide those resources?
Ramona, could I jump in?
You can, Renee.
Thank you. Because what you just asked really resonates with us. A person can have relevant job skills, but they need what I call the power skills. So at OIC, we're very focused on ensuring that our people understand what it means to be successful in a professional environment. You talk frequently, not you, but people talk frequently about being able to accept constructive criticism, a vital skill. But then how do you give constructive criticism? How do you advocate for yourself? How do you improve your writing skills? Those are things that are extremely important. So we have a work ready program that all of our clients, participants engage in to help prepare them be successful in the market. We teach financial health. We ensure that they are ready to be successful on day one. And it's really important for the community to understand that because of wonderful partners like PECO, our services are free. So when we tell people all the time, when you're ready for a better tomorrow, call Philadelphia OIC today. Because if you have the commitment and the energy, we'll give you the skills you need to succeed.
Wow, thank you, Renee. Excellent. Excellent. That's good to know. Sue, I've got a question for you. Oh, please. Is that you,
very
Kathryn?
Quickly. Yes,
go ahead.
I just very quickly wanted to piggyback on that. So while Hire Philly does not provide directly those wraparound services that you mentioned, it does speak to, again, one of our major priorities, which is when we are trying to connect opportunity seekers with careers, we're always doing it from the perspective of we are giving them access to careers and resources, because as Renee just pointed out, you cannot just simply focus on getting the job or connecting someone with a job. You have to make sure that the entire person is supported. And so it's about, making sure that their resume is accurately reflecting, their skills and what they bring to the table, making sure that they, that people who are going on these interviews know how to show up, that they have the appropriate attire that's required to physically go to an interview or maybe now interview, via Zoom or some other online platform, making sure that once they have the job, they understand what their transportation resources are, childcare, again, housing, all of these things are extremely important. And so we do have to really provide that holistic approach. And, so anything that Hire Philly does is really coming from that perspective. Yes, the job is paramount, and that's kind of that's the nucleus of this entire, process. But we really need to make sure that all of the other dots are connected to make sure that that person is not just ready from a skill perspective, but is able to sustain that job and build from there.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Kathryn. I think your point is definitely well taken. Carniesha, I saw you shaking your head. I want to give you a chance to respond if you would like, and then I'm going to go to Sue and ask her a question as well.
So I definitely agree with everything that Judge Hughes and Kathy have said with relation to especially the power skills piece, because to me, this is about people understanding their worthiness and that they're deserving of taking a chance on themselves to access opportunities to provide not just for themselves, their families and their communities. And one of the things that I think is very important for workforce programs that we do through Join, and we're even doing this through the Bank Works program cohorts that will start shortly, is when we talk about the resources that are provided, we're providing stipends to women because the programs itself through actually Women United at the United Way, which is a special group. But what we're doing there is really making sure that they can focus on those power people skills and that they can have access to additional resources if the childcare is coming up short or the food subsidy or supplies are coming up short, or you need that outfit or whatever to interview for that job and keep that job in addition to maybe support from like Career Wardrobe or something. And so we understand the importance, I think all of us here in this panel, of those that we serve having access to capital while they are gaining their training, both technical and workforce ready training, for them to have access to the resources that subsidized supports and other things can't carry by themselves. And that's why philanthropy is really important, because we can provide those supports where there are gaps through state or local funding. And I just wanted to add that too, that the resources is really key for people to be successful.
No, very good. I think that's such an important point. Sue, I was going to ask you about barriers that you see that keep women, especially in non-traditional jobs, from being successful. And Carniesha actually kind of created a nice transition.
Right. So we find that women can be successful once they enter the workforce. That, of course, there are challenges being part of a male-dominated occupation, and women have talked to us about issues around being isolated, sexual harassment, discrimination, not being given the kind of work that men are given. We want to be transparent, and those are still problems in the industry, but women help each other get through them, get over them, develop resilience and strategies to move forward. So we're seeing women be very successful in manufacturing, transit, and construction careers. The barriers tend to be that women don't see themselves entering or being able to do them to begin with. We have those blinders, those cultural blinders that we often grow up with, and that our families and unfortunately our schools and may reinforce. So that's really the biggest barrier that we are trying to help women and our whole city overcome. We know that women can be successful. They are successful, and you can see yourself and do this work. If you're a young woman, an older woman, we have women entering these trades in their mid-30s, from their teens to their mid-30s, and we've seen a lot of success.
Oh, that's great. I think your information is really important, and I really appreciate the passion that you have in talking about that, you and everybody else on the panel. This is a passionate group here. And Sabrina, it's interesting. I'm actually glad that we got to hear from our partners, because, wow, in addition to the things we're doing with them, I just see other opportunities to consider for collaboration. Not to take away or put you on the spot, my dear, but what do you think becomes one of the ways in which we might consider moving forward as an initiative within the company that can incorporate some of the thoughts and ideas that have been shared by the other panelists.
Great, I think you're reading.
I'm sorry.
That's absolutely fine, Romona. But as I'm hearing about all the various initiatives and barriers and some of the challenges, we have strong partners internally with our company, and they're very passionate about the work that we have begun here with workforce development. So as I look at this, I see that there is opportunity to bring even more people to the table. We know we've talked about the need to have everyone focused around this transformational work. And the more people that are passionate around it, the more people that want to impact change, the better off we are in moving about our mission. So one of the things that's really great to hear is some of the either challenges in other areas that we can focus on, because I literally have people within the company that are saying, how can we help? What can we do? And I think this is where the opportunities for mentorships, the opportunities to create and deepen our relationships and our partnerships are so important. So I'm looking forward to this journey with everyone that's here on this panel and those that's in our community, because we absolutely have the ability to impact change here.
Yeah, I agree. And Sabrina, if someone has an interest in getting more information on PECO and jobs that it has posted, how would they actually access the site?
Sure. We have our website is careers@peco.com. And actually, as we speak, there are a number there's one entry-level position for the customer service representatives that are out there is posted now. And there will be a number of other positions being posted in a very near term. One of the things that my team focuses on is ensuring that our partners in our community are aware of these positions. But I also encourage you to be sure that you're checking our careers website as well on a regular basis. But what we want to do is highlight and put a focus on many of these careers that are out there. And there's a number that's happening now and over the coming months. So I'm excited about that. And again, that's the careers@peco.com.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sabrina. Renee, OIC is philaoic.org. Is that correct?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay. And Sue, it's WINC, WINC project.org.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Hirephilly.org. Kathryn, is that correct?
That is correct.
And Carniesha, what about join at United Way?
You can go to unitedwayforimpact.org and look under our signature initiatives page where you'll find join. So unitedforimpact.org.
Excellent. And Michelle Wells-Bates, I didn't leave you a lot of time, but I hope you are able to connect with us and provide one of the questions that you think we might be able to use as a closer. Can you hear me? Okay. My chat feature is not showing, and I don't want to touch anything since I'm still live with you all. So I will close with hello. I will close with.
There is one question that I can see that was posted.
Oh, great! Thank you.
It would have been posted by an attendee. I'm not sure. But it looks like the question is, what is one thing you want to leave us with?
Oh, I think that's a great way to close the discussion. So Kathryn, why don't you go first? Thank you.
No problem. Sure. So one of the things that I think is extremely important, and we've mentioned it many times during this conversation, is collaboration. Everyone that's in this discussion and that's in the workforce development space, every employer, every nonprofit organization, our government, every citizen really can be impactful in making sure that we are moving the needle forward and putting more Philadelphians and more people in our region to work. And again, also providing them the additional resources and training that they need to be successful long term. I don't think it's a one or the other, or it's a competitive, scenario. Everyone has something to contribute from an organizational standpoint, and also, again, individually. And so I think we're at a critical point where everyone is forced to rethink and get creative about their approach to this work. And so it's a perfect opportunity to open yourself up to collaboration and to figure out ways to very creatively and very smartly work together, and not be so focused on, being siloed and insular. So collaboration, I think, is key. And one of the things that I just want to mention on behalf of Hire Philly is, as we launch this new tool this fall, one of our main priorities is really going to be putting people back to work. Yep. Far too many people in the region have been displaced and put out of work due to the coronavirus crisis. And so we are actively going to be engaging area employers and looking at the data that shows what our current high priority occupations are and how we can use skills matching technology to make sure that we can put those people who were working and were doing well, and the only reason they're not working is because of they've been put out of work due to the virus, making sure we can put them back to work quickly and match them with a job that really will allow them to show their skills.
Kathryn, thank you very much. And I'm going to use your collaboration as the one thing you want to leave on the table for us. Renee, how about you?
Yes. I have to reinforce collaboration. I'm sitting here with two of our partners, Carniesha and Join, and you and Sabrina from PECO. I've already thought of ways I'm going to partner with Kathryn, so she can expect that call. Sue, I've been talking to Carla Trotman from Wink, so I'm ready. So I do want to reinforce that, but I want for people to know that there is opportunity. It's embedded in our name. Reach out to OIC. It's really important for this audience to know that 68% of the people who were laid off as a result of COVID didn't have a high school diploma. So if you need to get your high school equivalency, if you need to get viable job skills, power skills, call OIC. Check out our website. We partner with people to bring you what you need for a better tomorrow.
I mean, you're like a walking commercial over there, Renee. This is excellent. No, very good. Thank you. Thanks for that. And I'm glad this is also, as a discussion, opening up opportunities for future collaboration and partnership within all of the panelists. Carniesha?
I'm going to take a line from my grandmother, which is something that people always say, but I understand it now that I'm older. Where there's a will, there's a way. And, I think the willingness is so key. If anything, if we walk away with anything, the willingness of the partners who are here on this panel, the willingness of those who we walk alongside who, may be attending today or may not. Will is an extremely important part of us being able to turn our local economy around and make sure that America remains competitive in the global market. To me, I see this about thinking globally, but acting locally. And so, if we don't prepare people to compete, our lives are at risk in terms of, whether we have positive or negative life outcomes. And so I would just say, for us to just stay focused on being willing to do what we know will provide opportunities for all.
Beautiful. Willingness. I love it. Sue, your one last thing?
One last thing is that everybody in this audience could play a role in connecting women to these high-wage careers. And it's easy to do. You can visit our website, but you can just do it whenever you open yourself up and talk to the women in your life about their aspirations and what's possible, and help them see what's possible for them, especially if a woman is a creative artist or problem solver. Those are the kinds of skills that translate into the trades really well. So we have a lot of welders who are artists. We have a lot of machinists who are problem solvers, who love to figure out puzzles. Those are the kinds of things that can transition really easily. And so everybody can be part of the solution.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thanks for helping us also look in a different way as we start to really consider skill set. So thank you very much for that, Sue. Sabrina, what's your one last thing?
I'll use the word awareness. I think it's really important to use these levels of platforms to spread the word about the great programs and what we're all doing around workforce development. There are resources out there in those that are on this panel, and then there are many more. So I would say increasing your awareness and your knowledge and accessing resources that are right here in our Philadelphia region that can lead to these sustainable wages that we've been discussing.
Excellent. Very good. Ladies, thank you so very much. This has been a wonderful discussion today, Pathways to Powering Success. I just want to leave the fact that I'm looking at all of you and hearing what you have shared and realizing how important the work you are doing is going to help fuel our recovery from this this pandemic environment that has been created just over the past 6 months. So thank you again. We wish you nothing but success, and please let us know how we can continue to support the work that you are doing, which is so very important. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And for those of you who are going to continue with other aspects of the conference, thank you very much.
Thank you, Romona.
Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you, Romona and team.